Well, today is April 16th. We don't have any more issues with frost. So what we're going to be doing today is planting a lot of the things we have in the greenhouse that have been, we sowed the seeds. We have some plants that we overwintered and we're going to be putting them outside. You could actually see that we have a pepper plant with flowers coming out. So if there were bees to pollinate it, we'd start getting peppers. We don't need that right away, but again, these are all we're overwintered. All of these plants were overwintered, and we'll be taking those probably outside in the next few days. Let's look at some of the trays we have. So in this tray we have lettuce growing, we have beets, we have peas, different types of peas. We also have bunching onions, which we've grown in the winter also. These are, by the way, the bunching onions that are in the bed within the greenhouse. So these have been growing over the winter, and we're going to be taking those out probably in a day or two. These are all of our onions. We have a tremendous amount of onions here, lots of different onions. These are in small cells, which we need to get out. These are the ones that are in big cells. These, you can tell, maybe are red onions, and we have different Walla Walla onions and Tokyo onions, just different types of varieties we're going to try growing this year. These are leeks. We love leeks, so we're going to plant a lot of leeks and hopefully we'll get something there. These are a special breed, a hybrid breed of tomato. They're called, or they're used for sauces. So it's a special sauce tomato, which is more meat than, I guess, a liquid. The next thing we have here is, let's see, these are yellow zucchini, and again, these will grow. As you can see over here, we have little aphids that we're gonna have to get rid of. So we have a spray for that, and we usually use a spray that has neem oil on it, and also is mixed in with soap, so it will adhere to the plant. Again, neem oil is totally organic, comes from the neem plant, and that will help get those aphids off. Next we have some cucumbers here. We have carrots, different types of carrots. These are going to be a little bit difficult to plant in the garden. We usually like to direct seed them, but we couldn't do that. These are cukes. And what do we have here? We have butternut squashes. So the back row here is butternut squashes, and then we have cukes. Over here we have, let's see, we have eggplant. These are new eggplants that we're going to grow. More of those tomatoes. Has some more lettuce, which again they're full of bugs, and we need to get these into the garden already because they don't look too well. And then back here we have red lettuce, which we've been having all winter. And these are regular tomatoes that we have back here, yellow tomatoes. And this is mint. So mint grows like crazy. It's difficult to grow because it's a very, very small seed, but we do have some mint. So very happy about that. And this is a kind of squash called dunja, and we have this squash here. Okay. More onions over here. So you have a lot of different onions. These are morning glory plants, and we'll have them grow. Let's take a look now. First of all, let's look quickly at the bed here. So at the bed, we still have some bunching onions. I planted a few onions over here just to try them out, and we have garlic. These big things are garlic over here. We have a lot of lettuce, which we're going to have to harvest. This is spinach, we'll harvest as well. All right, so we have some more bunching onions over there. And wasn't really aware that this was happening, but we started to get snow peas. So I let them grow, and they're starting to grow. They weren't planted, a seed must have fallen in there, and that's what happened. So again, we have more of that. There's a little plant over here, which we're going to try watching. I have no idea what this is, but we see the little seed on top of here, and can't figure out what that is, but we're going to try to let it grow a little more and see if we can figure out what it is. So let's go outside to the bed, and here you can see these were overwintered also. We're hoping that this year maybe we'll get a pineapple. So if we look at the bed over here, what we'll see is, again, it's a long bed. We have grass growing. This is put in there purposely, okay? It's called a cover crop, and what we want to do is we want to do two things primarily. The first thing we want to do is we want to have something on top of the dirt so it doesn't get eroded during the winter. Usually we're in zone 7, we won't have a mild winter. We'll have snow, wind, or whatever it is. So this will actually keep the soil intact. This is a rye variety. And as you can see, these are growing pretty tall, but what they also do is they have a very deep root system. And with the deep root system, what that does, it will keep the dirt nice and soft down there so it's not hard packed. So when we do plant, the roots of our new plants will be able to take hold. So there's two ways of clearing this. So one way is, I did a little bit over here, is where you can put some black tarp down or something, some bags or something, and it will kill the grass. Another way is that we're going to weed whack this later. What we'd like to do is we'd like to leave the root system intact, because the root system, even though it will be dead, will be providing nutrients to the new plants that are coming in. So that's what we're going to be doing today. That's the way we're going to be preparing the bed. What we're really going to be doing is just taking this out, putting some compost and maybe some new soil on top of here, and then planting directly into that. As you'll notice, a lot of these old strings and a TP. So this TP is going to be used for growing our peas. Our peas will start growing up over here. We have different kinds of peas and beans, which this is, again, very inexpensive bamboo, or you could take wood, you could take branches, whatever you want to do. And they just grow up here, and that's you train them to go up and they go. But if you look over here, you'll see we have lots of different strings hanging down, and what we do is everything that we grow in this bed primarily is growing vertically. And the reason we go vertically is because we don't have a lot of space. Okay, so again, this is a backyard garden, so we try to use all the space that we can. So we have a little fence around here. Again, not the best, but again, we're trying to do this in the most inexpensive way, so you don't have to spend a lot of money. One of the things that we added was drip irrigation, and what I try to do is try to bring this in the winter. You really don't need to, but this drip irrigation will go down the length of the bed. It'll be hooking on right over here where we have our outlet, and it'll be going all the way down into the gardens. All right, so I had an old car carrier, and instead of making it into a planter, I figured I'd put my compost in here to keep it dry over the winter. Let's see what we got. So what you can see here is decomposing eggshells. There's corn cobs, a lot of different things in here. We might leave this in a little bit more. One of the things that's very interesting is you'll see a lot of these things growing in your compost, and these are actual seeds that we'll put in. So if I put a tomato in here to compost, that's what will happen. This is what's under the bed. Okay, so that means rodents can't get up into the bed. And if you do have rodents, that's a good thing to put in there. So we'll come back when we have all of the bed ready for planting and show you what we have. So I've got all this grass cut down. I'm going to leave all of this in the organic matter for the bed. So we're going to leave all of this in there. We'll decompose. We'll be putting some dirt on top of that compost, and this will also go into the ground. Hopefully nothing should grow, but it's going to give more organic matter for the bed, which helps in nutrition for our plants. And next step is going to be putting on compost and then having us put in the plants. I have 1.5 cubic feet of bedding soil, and what I'm going to be doing is taking some of the compost that I made last year and mixing that in. Not too much, just enough to give our plants some nutrition. I have put on the bed, I have put droppings from a couple of rabbits, so that's also fertilizer, and I will be adding peat moss to this as well. So there are some people that like to have a fine compost. I'm really not that particular. This is okay. This will continue to decompose in the soil. I will have worms that will try to be eating this. Again, this is from food that we had on the kitchen table. As you can see, we have a lot of eggshells, which take a very long time to decompose. But again, they'll be in the soil, so this will add nutrients for my plants. So one of the things that I'm doing, even though it's a no-till garden, is I am taking a pitchfork and just lifting up the ground. That's it. Nothing much, just to get a little air in there and to break up the soil a little bit. But again, nothing much. Just lifting it, putting it down, lifting it, and putting it down. So let me first give you a tour of what we have inside the greenhouse. As you can see, we have a couple of plants that don't look too well, but that's actually eggplant, and it's also peppers, and the same down here. And this is called overwintering. What overwintering does is we take these plants inside and we'll keep them alive barely, and what we're going to be doing is actually planting them outside. First plant that we're going to be putting in the garden is this pepper plant, which again has been overwintered. As you can see, it does have blooms already. So it's now the middle, towards the end of April, and if we can get some pollination on this, then we can actually have fruit. So what I've done is we have our drip irrigation system sitting here. We're going to be tying it down. But what I did was made an imprint of the actual bucket that this is sitting in, because what I want to do is take this all of the dirt and put it right in, but I want to put some things in beforehand. One of the things we're going to be putting in is bone meal, and also we're going to be putting in worm castings to give the plant an extra zing to help it grow. And also, if you can see, we have our water emitters over here. So I wanted to put the plant near a water emitter with the drip irrigation, so it would actually get water in this area over here. So I've made a hole, put in the blood meal and the worm castings, and have it watered. And as you can see over here, if you look down there, there's actually a worm in there. So that's good. We want to make sure there are worms in our garden. So we're going to be putting the plant from the bucket right into the hole. So we've got it in the ground now. One of the things that we want to do is lightly press it in to the ground. Again, all of this is soil that, see more creatures over here climbing in. See that? But we've taken the soil that it's been in the entire winter, and we just placed it now in our garden. So hoping to minimize the shock of this. And this is the first year I'm trying this, so we'll see if these actually live and start producing. Again, there are a couple of buds on here, and we're going to see if those buds will actually start producing peppers. So the first row of plants are in. We have 2 peppers and 2 eggplants. We'll see how the eggplants are doing. They look a little bit weak, so hopefully we'll be able to get them growing again. Put some 555 fertilizer down, and we'll see if that helps perk them up. So here's a quick tip on growing vertically. Again, this whole garden is going to be growing vertically, and as you can see, we have a lot of plants in a small amount of space, and the reason for that is because we want to grow everything up. Okay, so the first way to tie a string here is to actually tie the string to the base of the plant. So when the plant is growing, you could actually tie it to the base. And then we have clips that we'll use later. Another method, which is probably more useful when you are first planting, is to take the string, put it in the ground. Okay. Try to get it taut if you can. And again, we're going to press this in the ground so we see the string is a little bit taut. Of course, when we put the plant in, it will be more taut. I'm going to put we're planting tomatoes, so I'm going to be putting some blood meal in, and also some worm castings. Mix them up, keeping the string in there. And then I have some of my tomatoes that are already grown. So what I'm going to do is, if I can do this one-handed, tip the pot, get my tomatoes out, get those beautiful roots there. And I'm just going to put it in here next to it, and I'm going to be pressing it down, and as I press it down, it will be taut. So I will show you in a second how that looks. And as you can see, the string is buried. We will clip, when this gets big enough, we'll clip the tomato to the string, and again, it'll be able to grow all the way up, thereby growing vertically and leaving us room on the ground here to plant more things and to have more aeration down here. We want the flow of air down here, so if we can grow things up, we will have air flowing, which prevents disease. Now we put a few things in, so we'll take a quick look. There's a new level of compost that we put down, and you can see it's all dark. One of the things I also did this year was put coffee grounds down. So if you look closely, you'll see coffee grounds within each plant. When I'm planting it, I do put the fertilizer that it needs. So as you can see, if we zoom in a little bit, we have Asian eggplants, black beauty eggplants, leek, tomatoes, cucumbers, and over here we have lettuces that are growing. So one of the things that I try to do also is, if you see over here, this is leek, these are onions. So I planted onions in between the other. They're called companion crops, and what the onions will do is they'll give off an odor of onions, which will keep the bugs from getting to these. So it's a natural bug repellent. Of course, we might need other bug repellent, but this is one of the things that we're going to start to do. Over here, We started the beans. So again, they're a little dirty because they do have some coffee beans on top of them, coffee grounds. Now, if you're using coffee grounds, it's very, very important that you do not use fresh coffee grounds. You need to use something that went through the machine already. Okay, so it's too acidic beforehand. So once it's gone through, you've had your coffee, then you can take those coffee grounds and actually put them in your garden. So this is the final product for the garden. As you can see, a lot of things are planted here. We're trying something new this year. We're trying to see how much we could plant while giving everything some space. We do have companion crops all over here. As you can see, just check those out. We have a lot of onions growing in between. We have some carrots that are underneath our pea trellis. And over there is the worms. We have another video on that. And see the onions. We got some beets. And hopefully the bees will come in and they will take care of the rest. This is where we planted some corn seeds. So the corn will hopefully come up. We planted it yesterday. We want to make sure that the ground temperature is at least 50 degrees. And over here we have more. We have some cattle panels and we have some tomatoes. We have squashes. Again, this is an overwintered eggplant and more squashes on the side. We're trying to use all the places we can get. And this is our overwintered pepper. If you like what you see, please subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.